So question 17 has a lot going on in it, and a really good place to start is to underline some of the really important information or highlight it. So there are 80 buttons packed into each bag. 600 bags of buttons are packed in a day. In the first 100 bags, there were this many red buttons. In 600 bags, the relative frequency of red buttons is 40%. And we want to calculate the relative frequency of red buttons in the final 500 bags. So first step is to sort out this bit. So work out how many buttons were packed in a whole day. 80 buttons in one bag multiplied by the 600 bags is 48,000 buttons in a whole day. Okay, doesn't matter what colour, that's the buttons. Now, in this line here, we can see the relative frequency of red buttons was 40%. 40% is the same as 0.4. So if we do 48,000 multiplied by 0.4, that tells us that there were 19,200 red buttons in the whole day. So in all the bags, that's how many red buttons there were. Now, let's go on to this sentence here. So it tells us that in the first 100 bags, we found this many red buttons. So if I do 19,200, subtract 1,200, that gives me 18,000. That's the red buttons in 500 remaining bags. Now, to find the relative frequency of the red buttons in these 500 bags, we need to do how many red buttons divided by the total number of buttons in those 500 bags. So we know how many red buttons there are. To find out how many buttons in total there are in the 500 bags, we do 80, which is the amount of buttons in one bag, multiplied by 500, which is 40,000. So now my relative frequency of red buttons is the number of red buttons in the 500 bags divided by the total number of buttons in the 500 bags, which is 0.45 or 45%. And that's the end of this paper.